Well, I'm just gonna keep doing these videos because they'll just like come to mind, quick little things in reference to the current event stuff, and then looping it straight back to the information that I've been sharing on this channel for however long now. But there's some ideas that come to mind in reference to like the Nipsey Hussle passing and the whole atmosphere about that. So there's like a personal or a micro way perspective to look at that, and that's basically the entire system, leaving that out and only focusing on the individual, only focusing on how it affects the individual, the family, and the individual, the family is included in that, and like the, for lack of a better term, like the street level sort of interpretations of the individual. On the macro scale is another story. This is why certain like different universes like don't really comprehend the information that you're talking about, because they are limited. Their intellect, their logic, their consciousness is limited by the barriers that have been set by the system of racism, white supremacy, RWS. I'm just going to call it RWS from now, so to keep it quickly. So as long as we keep focusing on what the system wants us to focus on, which is the micro perspectives, to distract us from the macro perspectives. Because once you start interpreting the macro interpretations of all of the current events and the historical events and the future events, then that's when you start to disassemble the entire system. Not only RWS, but everything that's connected to RWS. So you start to see it more. It starts to become like a light. It's a stain almost. You can see it as like a cancer, like a green slime. You can think of it like in that animated series. It was like a poison, and the poison filled up the whites in people's eyes, and then they could see how this is affecting it. It's the poison is everywhere. So see it when you're driving down the street. See the green and the pink slime. You're eating it. You're eating it at McDonald's. That's what that pink slime is. And then just see it as like the focused attack. So this is what I really wanted to get into with this video, was the focused attack that a lot of people can't really comprehend because they don't know why it would be a focused attack. Well, you would know why it would be a focused attack if you had experienced the life that we had experienced. But a lot of people can't even comprehend that because it's like the difference between sympathy and empathy. You can't cross that bridge. You can only explain as much as you can, but ultimately it's going to go down to the way that the individual either does or doesn't interpret what it is that you're saying. Because a lot of the times the information is so like intertwined into the thread of the individual, it can't even be perceived at a certain time. So what happens is, in order for the system to distract everybody from even that process, what gets sprayed through the mainstream media, how that slime gets sprayed through the mainstream media, is to spray the entire consciousness with a micro perspective. So the micro perspective is the only thing that you need to focus on, is where you max out. So is your American dream. So it's your family, your house, your car, your job, your degree, your whatever connects you to the world, whatever threads connect you, boom. It's like think of it as those cables in the Matrix that are in like coming out of Neo's back, his spine, and in his arms, and in his legs and stuff like that. All those cables that were pop, 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 pop. So all those cables are like different versions of the grid. Like I was just saying, that on a daily basis we are bombarded with. We're bombarded with this. I'm trying to see if I should lower the quality of the video because you can't see shit anyway, so I can go longer. If it cuts off, I'll do that. So, oh well. What was I saying? Okay, so yeah, this goes back to like Mediocreville. So this is why everything has to be muddied out or whited out. Everything has to be this is what humanity is. So they have to define what humanity is. It has to define. So it has to define what Earth is. It has to define. So the RWS is the focus of the it in this system. It literally has the authority to define who and what you are on every level, the soul, the mind, and the body. And you don't have any say over that. The church has more say. The church is literally the voice of God, from Jesus to the Pope to the state to you. Like that, you're the little voter, the voter up to the state. All the way up there. That's all connected. This is, if you want a really good breakdown of this information for people who are already getting butthurt about a lot of this, who are new to this, check out Neely Fuller Jr. Any of his information that's out there. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing is another one to find out specifically who breaks down this information, because this is kind of like where I am right now. And I focus on this as another side note because, like I said earlier, the job of the system is to make us focus on the micro. Well, if that's the case, we should be aware of the micro, but not limited to the micro, which means our cool. All right, it did cut off, but I just lowered the. Only got like 19 minutes there, so which means our focus needs to be focused on the macro, because that's where our true power is. So this is a science. There are algorithms out there, so we have to both be aware of the algorithms, how they exist in the micro and the macro. That's inside of us and outside of us. That's a lot of work to do, and then you have to actually disassemble these things. So before that happens, you have to first be aware of it. So this is all the macro that's involved in taking a macro perspective of this micro mind control program. So when we challenge ourselves to go there, then we're inherently like breaking it down. That's why I said, like, if you're going to talk about what's going on with Nipsey Hussle, like on at the same time, with respect to his passing and everything, speak on the cancer, because the cancer of those events happening is the problem. We miss on see what happens on the mainstream agenda. Like I said, it wants you to focus on the micro, so it puts out a trap on the internet, on YouTube, in social media, that is that trap is hidden underneath views and likes and attention on the internet, because you're pushing the agenda that they want to push. So they'll reward you with points, and these points are points for RWS. They're points of distraction for RWS in one way. You know, you can say that you're saying you're doing your own thing at the same time, but also look at how the system of mind control, along with RWS, is growing its agenda. It's growing its story through your own involvement in it. So this is why I'm leaning more and more towards just like my own in the moment perspectives, because it's really, you know, that's the best I can do, really. So it's not really based upon any other kind of storylines or anything like that. It's just like, hey, you know, these are some things that are just passing through my observation, and they'd be cool to share and, you know, break down. Yeah, here's how all this other stuff fits into this storyline. But, you know, this cancer needs to be addressed so these events don't happen again. If we're just, you know, blabbering about the, you know, the system, the micro storyline, I mean, you know, because, and by micro, I mean like names. At this point, names of the individuals, yes, the storyline and all that stuff is very important, obviously. But as far as speaking to the world, this is what this internet does, and people who call themselves whatever they truthers and all that other stuff. Ultimately, teachers, you know, like, how you teach is also a what you teach. How you teach is also a what you teach. So speaking in reference to the micro and the macro is a how you teach. So there is this macro. There is this macro of racism, white supremacy that has been studied and broken down and experienced by many different people that is now trying to be washed over by this new world order of we're all one, we're all human, aliens exist, and we should just learn what humanity is from a technology basis. You know, monkeys evolved into this so we can make technology. So that's who we are as a species. So the racism, white supremacy university system has developed that for this entire species to experience its reality, whatever a species is. Because that's another thing. That's what I was saying, like in the last video. It's also created this idea that, you know, horseshoe crabs and sharks and alligators are millions of years old, but we're just like Jesus age, like that's it, like we're just around Jesus, like around that. What the fuck is going on? So that this is still the church's intellectual authority. We're still in Greco-Roman intellectual, spiritual, psychological authority right now, and people are afraid. Ultimately, this is where the fear comes in. People are afraid of letting that go because they've been getting their little kickbacks. So when you watch Robin Hood and you see the sheriff of Rottingham going and robbing everybody, well, the sheriff is also giving kickbacks to sheriff's friends, all the suburban houses and all the people that's in, you know, families of them. So they're like, wait, you mean if we stop robbing them, then that means we're not going to get our kickbacks? Like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. They're like, no, we'll just allow it. So Neely Fuller Jr. breaks this down very easily or very simply. And then if you haven't looked at those animated series compilations I just compiled from Carlito Way 44 YouTube channel, check that out. If you haven't checked that out yet, look it up, because it makes these things very obvious to see, and once we see them, well, it makes it easier to see the cancers. Once you start seeing the cancers of what's going on, then you'll know how to address the micro, the side effects. Because with all due respect to everybody who has passed, you know, along this system, with senseless shit like that, with Nipsey Hussle, you come to this point of just like, all right, how long is this going to continue? Like, how long are we going to allow this to continue to go on before we actually do something about the cancer itself? Like, if in the moment, if we're you know, wasting our like our perspectives on the symptoms, it's less, like I said, it's adding fuel to the fire of racism, white supremacy, because the system wants you to focus on the micro, and they'll take advantage of those micro. This is the thing, the system doesn't give a fuck about you, so it will take advantage of those micro situations, those micro moments, and will use it for their macro agenda. So it's like double win for it against you in every moment, and we're just running around unaware of the entire system going on. So we are this is this, and we allow this shit to go on because it stems from us having no meaning and no purpose. We don't know who the fuck we are, and the only kind of meaning and purpose that we have comes from the state itself, the state and the church. Like, the church gives you your meaning, the church gives you your purpose, the church gives you your answers of all reality, and the church is the spiritual power of the state. That's why they say, oh, you know, God bless America, and God we trust on the money and all this other shit. So when we just accept this and don't really question it at all, that's why I said people get something from it. They're afraid of losing it, and that's what I said. They'll just, you know, catalog the whole world, and this is how it breaks down, like I was thinking about earlier, in reference to the animal. So we're treated like animal. We're chattel. We're less than that. We're like bugs. You know, we could be. There's a difference between we're telling us we're being like. Some people are squishy and some people are squashy. So this is what happens in that whole like racism, white supremacy thing. Oh, it's like, oh, white people are so delightful. That's why they have to say all the time, look at your television. You're out, hey, welcome to this. Do you have rheumatoid arthritis? Do you have mesothelioma? Like, they're even when they're selling you diseases, they gotta be so fucking delightful and just swinging around. Oh yeah, I'm just like a fucking delightful person. And then back to the news. This black person just murdered this person. This Mexican person just robbed this person. You know, this, like, and then, you know, back to something delightful or created by, you know, tech environment and the system of racism, white supremacy. So that's the cancer itself. So we can get mad at the mainstream media all day for obviously doing what they're doing, but that's a symptom of the cancer. And it really is up to us to really start to empower ourselves to stand in that space and be like, look, the cancer is the problem. It's the symptoms are like when you're trying to address a whole ocean of symptoms, you have to address the cancer. Like, what's going on? Why can't you drink this water? Because it's salt water. It's the ocean. It's going to dehydrate you. So we have to find a new water source. This is a new, and that new water source is your own intellect. Like, for starters, start thinking for yourself and get out of that micro space and get into the macro. Just because you've been floating on this maritime admiralty system, it's still salt water. It's not our universe. It's a pirate universe. You can't drink that water. Jumping in the water is illegal. You can't own anything on that water. It's not yours. It never was. It was meant to enslave you. So this is the thing, at the expense of what? At the expense of other people, specifically so-called black people, which is the black and brown people, which is the same people around the world. Because why? Because white people are the only ones that are firmly stable in who and what they are. Like, and that's not even a thing. What is white? See, it's a state of mind. It's a state of being, and in real life, it's been manifested into this, worshipped thing around the world. So what that thing has done has taken over our psychological, physical, and spiritual interpretations of this reality through the university system, through the church, through the so-called justice system, through the empire itself and the way it perceives our reality and tells us this is what it is, through like Netflix and all the education system as a whole. So we are tagged and cataloged like, and they say they're free, like the animals, like how the animals in the ocean and the birds. You see all those when you watch any of these. You see these tags on their ears. So our tags are just, you know, tucked away in our security boxes or something like that, like your birth certificate, your social security number. That's your tag. You're tagged and cataloged like an animal. And then you can fly around this world, but you fly into the wrong area, you'll get taken out. If they want to study on you, they'll just pull your tag number and pull you in. And this is the thing, like they're told they're free, but they're existing, and this is beyond that. Within our interpretation of reality, they're telling us that they're tagging all these animals for their freedom. That's the thing. They're enslaving these animals in the zoos. Like they're studying them. So that's what they're doing. They're saying they're studying them. Well, they're doing the same thing with us. They're studying us. Why do you think all these vaccines, all this stuff is just bullshit? You don't need any of it. So what are they doing? This is not medical advice or anything. I'm not a doctor or anything. But what I'm saying is, like, these vaccines and all this other stuff from being in the military, and see how they force this stuff on you and the children of the babies, the families of these soldiers. They force this shit on them. They're studying. These are guinea pigs. This is what's happening. So you're being tagged and cataloged, and then in your tagging and cataloging, the way they tell us what they're doing with animals, they tell us the same thing they're doing with us. It's for your benefit. You're being genocided and taken over for the benefit of what? For the benefit of the empire, their universe, their system. And they're saying, well, what are we going to lose if we let go of that? You're going to lose all these benefits. Oh, we don't want to do that. So just keep, genociding and destroying everybody. And nowadays, since that information is out there, they can't really just say that out in the open. They can't just really lynch people out in the streets like they used to. So it has to be underground, or they just don't talk about it at all. But they do approve of it. They do approve of it. So since they don't want to openly approve of it, they'll quietly acknowledge it. But they won't really say anything about it. So it needs to be an entire wave of people waking up, who are privileged by that environment, actually speaking out against it. That needs to exist in some kind of way. If you claim to be talking about this, all this, speak on this shit. That is the cancer. Everything else, the Illuminati, all that other shit, what you really talking about? The Illumin what? Illumin intellect, Illumin information. A group of motherfuckers who said they know everything. That's fucking racism, white supremacy. On that note, I'm leaving it there. That way, we need to recognize everybody's been fucking tagged like animals. Everybody's been tagged like animals, and they're studying us. And YouTube is just the latest way that they're studying people. They fucking study people until, for what reason? I don't know, but we have to first figure, we'll know as soon as we start asking these questions. If we don't ask these questions, we won't never fucking know. So, this is the thing why I say this, because a lot of people are afraid of even asking that question, any questions, because they're afraid of letting go of what the system, what they think they're getting from the system. And that's the thing, like they said, they quietly, and Neely Fuller Jr. break this down very comprehensively. It's a sick program, and the more we focus on the symptoms of the cancer instead of the cancer itself, we are adding to the complexities of the program, to the effectiveness of the program. This is why I focus so much on the cancer itself. And this is just one part of the cancer. You know how there's different types of cancer? Yes. Racism, white supremacy is a type of cancer, but it's in my opinion, it's one of the, if not the biggest cancer that's out there. There are other cancers that are out there, and this could be interpreted differently as far as like cancers and all that other stuff. But this shit is fucking. This is one of the heaviest ones, and it seems a little bit peculiar that a lot of so-called truthers that are out there just completely avoid this subject. Completely avoid it. Like the plague. It's ridiculous. But it's the most obvious one. This was in the government that people say, oh, the government's corrupt. Yeah, well, how was the government corrupt if you said that in like the 50s or the 30s or the 20s? You'd be saying a lot more different shit. But the shit that you would have been saying about the corruptness in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 30s, in the 20s, in the 1800s, nobody fucking says it today. They're just like, oh yeah, that was corruptness back then. No, it's the same fucking corruptness. This is the thing. I'll end it on this. Gonna run out of time anyway. People can understand that we're in a spiritual war. You're in a psychological warfare. You're in a physical warfare right now, right? Right? White supremacy was involved in that, correct? There is a war against a particular people, so-called black people, by other people, right? Was there ever a peace made by the people who waged that war against us? Did they ever claim peace with us? No, ever, never. They never claimed peace against the war against us. It's still going on. And people who are getting all the concessions from the system are you know, not wanting to acknowledge that war is still going on because of what they get from those people who make a profit off of that war. I'll leave it there. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.